Could the WNBA be headed to a lockout?
Everything is pointing to a player strike, basically a lockout for next season.
Could the WNBA actually be headed for its most explosive meltdown in history? Every sign right now is pointing to a full-blown player strike, the kind that could shut down the entire league next season and send shockwaves through women's basketball forever. Because the top stars have finally had enough, they're demanding real pay, a true share of the league's revenue, and actual respect for the work that's keeping this league alive. But the WNBA's leadership is dragging its feet and the clock is ticking fast. Because if these negotiations collapse, and trust me, they're already on life support, then we're not just talking about tension, we're talking about a lockout so massive. It could erase all the progress women's basketball has made in the last few years. And the irony is almost painful, because even with record-breaking growth driven by Caitlin Clark and a handful of other breakout stars who have packed arenas and ignited social media like never before, the league somehow still manages to underpay the very women responsible for this golden era. And what's coming next isn't just a contract dispute. It's a collision course between the players who built the brand and the executives who are burning it down. And once that fuse is lit, there's no putting the fire out. It all started with a statement, so bold it couldn't be ignored. Over 40 WNBA players walked into the All-You-Star warm-ups wearing matching black t-shirts screaming in all caps. Pay US, what you owe US, no subtlety, no sugarcoating, just a loud, in-your-face message for the league and its leadership. And if you think this was just a fashion choice, think again. Because it was a coordinated warning shot aimed directly at the front office, a way of saying, we've tried talking, now we're done playing nice. And behind those shirts is a league standing on a ticking time bomb called the Collective Bargaining Agreement, which conveniently or maybe cruelly expires on the 31st of October, 2025, meaning the league has until Halloween to either make peace or prepare for its own nightmare. And here's the wild part. When asked in a survey what single issue should take priority in the new deal, a staggering 70% of players said higher salaries, while single-digit percentages went to things like more roster spots, better family resources, and basic minimum standards. So the message couldn't be clearer. This is about money, respect, and the principle that if the league is finally making real revenue, then the women on the court deserve to see it in their paychecks. But instead, they're getting meetings that go nowhere and leadership that acts like it's doing them a favor just by listening, which is exactly why those shirts weren't just a protest. They were the opening salvo in what could be an all-out war. The irony is almost too much to handle this so-called golden era of the WNBA, where Caitlin Clark is packing arenas night after night. Angel Reese trends on social media every time she breathes, and the league is finally getting real buzz from fans and media who used to ignore it. Yet somehow, leadership is still fumbling it like a bad pass in the final seconds of a championship game, because instead of locking themselves in a room and hammering out a deal like adults, both sides tried to play nice during All-Star weekend, with not one but two negotiation meetings. And how did that go? An epic disaster, with insiders saying it didn't just stall, it crashed and burned so badly you'd think they were arguing over splitting a $10 check at dinner. And when the dust settled, it was clear the players had reached their breaking point. Because those shirts weren't just about sending a message, they were a promise that if this league keeps dragging its feet, the players will take matters into their own hands. And you could feel it in the way they carried themselves, in the way Nafisa Collier spoke after the game saying, the players are what's building this brand and this league, which wasn't just a statement, it was a mic drop moment. A reminder that without the women on the court, there is no WNBA, no record-breaking crowds, no sold-out merch, no golden era, and the league can either pay up or prepare for the chaos that's coming. And if you think the players are bluffing, think again, because the numbers backing their case are brutal. Attendance has exploded 13% from last season. Average crowds have doubled since 2022, going from barely 5,600 fans a game to over 11,000, ticket sales up 26% year over year, All-Star game voting skyrocketing from just 96,000 votes in 2023 to a jaw-dropping 1.29 million in 2024, which proves without a shadow of a doubt that people are finally showing up, finally caring, finally giving this league the spotlight it's been begging for. And yet the response from leadership is basically a shrug and a, "We'll see what we can do," which would get you laughed out of any other business on earth. Because imagine doubling your customer base, tripling your hype, smashing every growth record you've ever had, and then telling the very people responsible for that success, the athletes putting their bodies on the line every game, that there's just no room in the budget for fair pay, while at the same time, expansion teams are paying $250 million to join the league, a 5x jump from just a year ago when Golden State got in for $50 million. And now that franchise is already worth over $500 million, so the money is clearly there. It's just somehow never in the hands of the women who actually make the WNBA worth watching. And here's where the mask really slips, because when you break down the money, the gap between the WNBA and NBA is so insane, it's almost insulting. WNBA players take home just 9.3% of league revenue, while NBA players pocket 50%, which means NBA rookies riding the bench in warm-ups make more than WNBA stars carrying entire franchises on their backs. The minimum WNBA salary is just $66,000. The max barely touches $249,000. And yet over in the NBA, the lowest salary you can legally pay a player is $1.27 million. That's the minimum, 5 times higher than the WNBA's maximum, and players aren't even asking for the moon here. They just want a flexible revenue share that grows with the league, so when the pie gets bigger, their slice does too. But instead, they're locked into these stagnant contracts while owners sit in luxury boxes, popping champagne and announcing billion-dollar expansion deals, somehow finding endless cash for new teams and sky-high valuations while treating the women actually building the product like an afterthought. And the wildest part, owners don't even control the majority of the league. They hold just 42%, so the excuse of, "We'd love to pay more, but our hands are tied," is pure theater. Because the truth is, the priorities are upside down. They'd rather keep scaling the brand on the backs of underpaid athletes than pay the very people who made that brand valuable in the first place. And now the league wants to talk expansion, like it's some genius master plan. Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, all set to join by 20, 30, $250 million buy-in for each one. And they're hyping it like a victory parade, while completely ignoring the fact that they can't even properly take care of the 12 teams they already have. You've got rosters so thin, they're handing out hardship contracts like Black Friday coupons just to keep benches full. Players flying on inconsistent charters, some still stuck in commercial travel chaos. And somehow they think the solution is more teams. It's like your kitchen's on fire and you decide to build a second one. And yes, the valuations are skyrocketing. Golden State Valkyries went from a $50 million expansion fee to being worth over $500 million in barely a year. But that profit isn't going to the women sweating it out on the court. It's going to the suits in boardrooms who think a growing brand is more important than a stable league. The whole thing is like watching a skyscraper go up without a foundation. Impressive to look at, but one bad shake and it all comes crashing down. Enter Unrivaled, the brand new player-owned league built by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. And this isn't some little side project for the off-season. It's fully funded, fully organized, and fully terrifying for the WNBA because it offers everything the current league refuses to give: flexibility, financial freedom, and respect for the athletes actually carrying the sport. No begging for charter flights, no groveling for better pay. No dealing with out-of-touch execs who think hardship contracts are a long-term business strategy. Unrivaled lets players make real money without sacrificing their bodies to a punishing schedule or their careers to executives who don't get it. And here's the kicker. It proves the WNBA needs its players way more than the players need the WNBA. Stars like Stewie and Fee are basically saying, "We've got other options now. Thanks." And the power dynamic just flipped overnight. You can feel the league's leadership sweating because this isn't just competition, it's a threat to their entire existence. One wrong move, and Unrivaled becomes the main show, while the WNBA fades into background noise. Now the gloves are off because WNBA stars aren't even hiding the rebellion anymore. They're trolling leadership in broad daylight. Nafisa Collier strolls into the All-Star draft wearing a giant Unrivaled T2 shirt like it's a billboard, smiling for the cameras, standing in front of sponsors, standing right in front of the commissioner, and that's not a wardrobe choice. That's a direct warning shot, saying we have options and we're not afraid to use them. And here's the reality. If a lockout happens, Unrivaled wins automatically. They scoop up the talent, scoop up the fans, scoop up the hype, and leave the WNBA scrambling to explain why arenas are empty and all the stars are gone. This isn't just a labor dispute anymore. It's a fight for relevance, a war for control, and the WNBA is losing it in slow motion while the clock runs out. And here's where the doomsday clock really starts ticking, because the deadline to fix this mess is the 31st of October, 2025. But insiders are already whispering about a stalled season in 2026. Translation, they're not going to get it done. Negotiations are circling the drain. Everyone's angry. No one trusts the other side. And the math is brutal. No deal means no games. No games means no fans. No fans means no money. And no money means no league. The WNBA doesn't have NBA-level clout or capital to survive a lost season. One lockout and every ounce of momentum Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese built goes straight in the trash, every new fan gone, every sponsor gone, every headline replaced with silence, and leadership still acts like they've got time. This is a one issues to live situation, and the patient is flatlining. The shirt said, "It best, pay us what you owe us, and if they don't, this league is done." Unrivaled will snatch the stars, the fans, and the headlines. While the WNBA is left streaming reruns of games nobody cares about, charter flights will be empty, arenas will echo, and the so-called golden era will vanish faster than a rookie's paycheck. This isn't a warning anymore, it's a countdown to self-view destruction. The players aren't bluffing, they've done the interviews, the shirts, the protests, and now they're ready to walk. And if the league still doesn't get it, fine, we'll be right here to roast every second of the fallout. So buckle up, because the next meltdown is already loading.